Traveling from across the ocean to begin his collision run career on the hill, this native of England wasted little time in making his mark. Ridler earned All-America honors 5 times during his WKU tenure from 1973 through 76. He finished 7th in the NCAA Outdoor 3-mile run in 1975, and then in 1976 finished 8th in the Indoor 3-mile race event. Ridler also captured an 8th place finish in the NCAA Cross Country Championships in 1975, as well as a top 25 finish in 1976. The winner of the Ohio Valley Conference individual title in cross country in both 1974 and 76. He also helped the Toppers take another OVC crown in 1975 as well. After captaining the 1976 Topper cross country team, Ridler returned to England where he passed away in 1984 after a battle with leukemia. 2009 Athletic Hall of Fame inductee, Ridler.
And accepting for, as you may be aware, I think it was mentioned earlier, Ridler passed away in 1984 after a battle with leukemia. And he's represented today by Tinius and Hartel, 2 of his teammates on the hill. Would you all stand and come forward, please?
Thank you very much. We're going to have to listen to all 3 of us for just a few minutes because we certainly want to say a few words about our good friend and teammate, Ridler. It's certainly an honor to stand here and accept this on his behalf. Chris started in January of 1973 here at WKU and had an outstanding career, as you heard. I think that what was a little unknown about Chris was the practical joker side and just the type of person he was. A couple of quick stories. My parents would follow us to meets literally all over the country. And at the 1973 OVC Championships in Moorhead, my mom walked up to me and she said, I've been trying to call you. And of course, this was before the day of cell phones, well before the day of cell phones. And, you haven't been in your dorm room, and where have you been? Well, I've been doing my study. And there was some truth to it. She said, well, what about this girl you started dating? And I said, well, I haven't started dating. Oh, I know all about it. I said, what are you talking about? She says, I know her name. How do you know the name of someone I'm dating when I'm not dating someone? And she says, well, her first name's Margie. Margie? She says, yeah, Margie Hill. I look over to the side, and Ridler is just almost on the ground. He had just, all he shared with my mom is that Joe has been spending a lot of time with Margie Hill like that. She thought maybe there was something on the horizon. But that was Ridler. Always looking for a way to have some fun and enjoyment. We also sometimes don't realize until many years later the impact that someone we think that we know or we knew had on others. I had to make a quick trip to Indiana on Thursday to check on my parents, and having lunch with my dad yesterday, who just turned 90 in September, he said, so Chris is being inducted into the Hall of Fame. I said, well, yes, that's why I need to get back. And he said, he said, I always enjoy just sitting and talking to Chris. And I said, well, kind of like that year at Thanksgiving when Chris and Nick came home, and my dad just kind of got a little smile on his face. And what happened there is Nick and Chris, after the NCAA championships in '73, didn't have anywhere to go for Thanksgiving, so I took them to Indiana with me for Thanksgiving. And my mom said, you think they'd like to go for a little ride and see the community? And Nick said, sure, that sounds like fun. And Chris looked at my dad and said, what are you going to do? And he said, I'm going to stay here and keep an eye on the turkey. Chris said, I think I'll stay here with your dad. And my mom's last words as we left is, don't let that turkey burn. We came back about an hour later, and there sat Chris and my dad watching a football game, and a few empty bottles in front of them. And we walked in the door. My mom said, what about the turkey? And they both had forgotten about the turkey. But I thought to myself, for my dad, 36 years later, to remember that conversation and spending that time with Chris, the impact that he must have had on my dad says a lot about him and his personality. And I know he's very proud to receive this recognition, very loyal to this school and his teammates, and it's well deserved. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Eriwn Swag Hartel, and I started in Western Kentucky in the fall of 1970. I came over with another English guy called Eriwn. I was recruited by Eriwn, who was the assistant track coach here at Western at the time. And I was from London, England. Well, anyway, Ian went back after 1 year, and I stayed. And in my sophomore year, Dick Rose came over. And after my sophomore year, I'd had a couple of bad years here. I was eating a lot. I ended up leaving Western and would go to Boston and back to England, and didn't think I'd ever come back for my junior year. But Nick Rose persuaded me to come back for my junior year, and I came back in my junior year, and that's when I met Chris Ridler. And Chris and Tony Staines had both come over from England. Anyway, I became very tight with Chris, and we became really great friends, and we did a lot of running together. And in 1977, I moved up to Louisville with Nick Rose, and I ended up staying in Louisville, and now have a shoe store there. And the last time I ever saw Chris was in 1978. I went back to England that summer to run. I spent a couple of weeks with Chris in Bristol, England. And we were very close friends, but even when Chris was at Western, he always had a problem with having urine in his blood. And I guess that was part of this leukemia thing, because they didn't know about it back then. One short story I'd like to tell you is that, us English guys were known for drinking a lot of beer back then. I have before now. I always remember we used to go out every Wednesday night and have a big night out drinking. We always had to do a track session on Thursday afternoon. We had a football stadium. And Romeo Crennel, I always remember Romeo Crennel, because he'd see us staggering to the door at 1 or 2 in the morning after that night out in town. The next day we're out on the track doing this killer track session. He was amazed how we could do this. And I am today, I'm even amazed I could have done this. But the one thing I do want to tell Romeo, none of us guys ever drank light beer. If Romeo's going to do a commercial of course, please, let's go with the original. Anyway, I would just like to say that I am very, very grateful for the opportunity Western Kentucky gave me. I live in Louisville now, as I mentioned, and I go to a lot of shoe meetings around the country, and I meet people who've got shoe stores in Oregon and Colorado, these places, and they say to me, why would you want to live in Kentucky? And I say to these people, you know what, if I didn't live in Kentucky, where I'd move to Tennessee. This is the best place in America, and I love it, and I hope in the next few years to do a lot to help Western and help Coach Jenkins keep the great tradition going at Western. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tom Condit. I'm from Cincinnati, and I have a little different perspective from these fellows who kind of grew up with Chris Ridler here in Western. I actually was a freshman walk-on in 1974, which was, of course, the year we got the runner-up trophy. So I was, these guys were kind of my heroes. I couldn't believe what these guys could do as athletes. And I just want to tell two things about Chris. The first one's really very personal to me, because I was just here 6 weeks, just showing up every day. I mean, Coach Bean had us walk on running our own group, and I hardly ever cross paths with those English guys, I would say hi to them. Probably never had much more than a 2-minute conversation with any of them. And it came first week of October, the first big meet up at Indiana University. Very big, 30 teams, I mean, a real major college meet. And I, at that time, had secured myself as the 11th man on a 10-man traveling squad. and I was trying to stay ahead of the other walk-ons. And I got a call from Coach Bean, I don't know if it was Thursday night or something, and he told me that I would be traveling with the team to Indiana. And I was just stunned and elated by that. I didn't feel like I belonged at all. And Dave Jaggers, as I recall, got his annual ankle sprain that week. He hated cross country. Indiana was a tough course, so Jaggers was out and I was in, and I was amazed. And it really was kind of a turning point. I really, for the first time, felt accepted by the team, and part of the team, really part of it. And there's that old adage, most of your college education happens outside the classroom. That was true about that van ride. But it really was, really was something. It was a fantastic experience. That's the first time the 4 guys came in holding hands. 200 guys in the field, 4 Western guys coming holding hands. And so it was a stunning weekend for me, and really a great memory. Now, the reason I'm telling that is I didn't know until a year or 2 later that when Jaggers scratched, we had a couple other international athletes that were here as freshmen, and they'd never been out of Bowling Green in 6 weeks. It was Coach Bean's plan to take those 2 guys in the van just to get them out of Bowling Green, let them see a different, have a bit of a trip. I did not know until 2 years later, Chris Ridler walked into Coach Bean's office and said, "That's not right. That these freshmen have been showing up, training hard every day. Condit, will be my roommate. One of these, they deserve to go. They deserve to go." And he changed Coach Bean's mind. Coach Bean took me. And you got to understand, I was nobody. I mean, I was 5 months out of high school. And Chris Ridler, who hardly knew me, went in and fought for me because he saw that I worked hard and arranged for me to make that trip. Chris Ridler will always have a special spot in my heart, just on that story alone. The other thing I want to say about him is, just as an athlete, in the fall of '76 was his final season eligibility for cross country, and I know he was disappointed in that run, very much so. He had a great year and thought he'd probably be a top 5 guy, and he was farther back than that. And he was really upset by it, and really almost a broken spirit. He was really disappointed. I think Joe agrees with that. And he only had 1 season of eligibility left, and that was indoor track, and I didn't think he was that revved up about it, and he took one more shot at in a qualifier for the indoor national championship, run a qualifying time, went up to Indiana University, feet got tangled up, he falls down with other guys, and he doesn't end up qualifying there either. And he really was even more tipped off at that point. And I figured he was going off into the sunset, but I underestimated the guy because there was still 1 meet left, and that was the indoor conference meet. And I thought he had lost his edge, and I don't think he was quite in the shape he normally would be. He went to that indoor conference meet out in Moorhead, and he anchored the winning distance medley. He won the 2 mile. I think he was 3rd in the mile. And I sat there and just shook my head. The guy had the heart of a lion. He just was a great competitor, even when he wasn't in great shape. He just went out there and had a brilliant performance. He deserves to be inducted. Thank you for whoever arranged for him to be inducted. That's what I have to say about Chris Ridler, a great guy. Thank you.
Concerns the induction of Chris Ridler. And I'd just like to read this brief email to you. Hi, Paul. Apologies for not being able to attend the induction of Chris Ridler to the Hall of Fame. I can, however, give you an insight into the sort of person that Chris was. Under the guidance of Jerry Bean, Chris flourished as an athlete at WKU. He soon became an All-American. And one of the first things he did was to invite Jerry to his hometown of Bristol and show him the sights. Chris was always a go-lucky guy, always gave his all when it came to race day. As tough as nails in training and racing, off the track, always up for a laugh. One of the lads. Hope all goes well. Regards, Nick Rose. Our second honoree